Okay, so this one isn't a particularly great story, but Alex basically received some messages on Twitter suggesting that the latest EA WRC game isn't particularly great on PC. And we were going to talk about it today, but obviously he's not here. But I decided to take a look at the PC version anyway. But I've got to stress, first of all, that this is just me loading the game on my PC. I haven't done any kind of stress testing at all. It's just first impressions of the rawest kind. And yeah, but it is on my 13900K system with an RTX 4090, DLSS quality mode. And there are stuttering issues, profound stuttering issues that seem to get better, but it does seem to be shader compilation related. And at the beginning of this Monte Carlo course here, it ruins the game, because the drift model, the whole sort of simulation model on the car, if you're missing like so much feedback, it just basically makes it impossible to drive. Really, you just careen off the road. It's not good at all. Other issues. I mean, well, what can I say? There were some weird performance issues where even on the 4090, I'd be under 60 frames per second. I'd switch down to like DLSS performance mode, wouldn't make any difference. Seems to be some sort of performance bug in there. LOD pop-in issues. I had an issue where I could actually move past the start line. Before the green light came up, which is kind of interesting. I think overall, though, the key thing that we're looking at here is that I assume this is Codemasters at the con here for this one, and they have legendarily good rally games, right? Dirt Rally 2 is still looks phenomenal to this day. They had their own proprietary technology, the Ego engine, which they still use, I believe, for F1. But for some reason, and it's not entirely clear what's going on here, they seem to have moved to Unreal Engine 4, not even Unreal Engine 5. They've moved to Unreal Engine 4. And I think, well, John, this is entirely subjective, but Dirt Rally 2 kind of looks better.
It is subjective, but I kind of agree. I think Dirt Rally 2 looks better. It has there's something about the visual characteristics of that engine that just produces a really pleasing image for this sort of game. This one, however, looks very, I don't know, you can see a lot of the limitations that are pretty typical with Unreal stuff in terms of how the pop-in is handled and the terrain system itself. I just don't think it looks better in a way that sort of warrants this change. And we obviously have no insight into why they've made this change. There might be a reason for it. If it was Unreal Engine 5, despite its growing pains, I could understand the desire to use something like, Nanite, right? That would be perfect for something like this, because you could have those long distance views and lots of detail with no visible pop-in. Lumen would also be nice because you could change the time of day easily and have like proper GI.
Yeah.
But we're not really getting those features here, and maybe they could switch to it next time. I mean, Unreal is Unreal, right? So
it could be a transition project.
Could be a transition project, but I don't think it's a great idea this is the first time Codemasters has been involved with the WRC license since like 2002 or something. It's been a long time. It's been over 20 years. And this is the first time I've seen like EA Sports WRC, I guess. Has that existed before? I feel like that has not. I don't know if that brand actually exists.
I'm not a huge rallying fan, and you could probably tell that from the quality of the gameplay. This is like a proper, it's a proper hardcore simulation. Well, you can tweak it, you can make it easier.
Yeah, but this is Sega Rally. It is not.
No, I think that's the point. Yes, it's a proper rally game. Yeah.
Yes. So I don't know. I would be curious to hear from the people that are seriously into rally games to see if there's any sort of benefit to the Switch or what it actually means for the core gameplay. Because I don't know, it's a weird one, and I would love to understand why they've made this change, because on the face of it, it's not great.
I mean, I've got to stress that this is just loading it up and playing it for half an hour and see what's what.
Yeah, that may be the case, but you'd loaded it up and played it on one of the most powerful PCs
Yes.
on the
And there are
market.
performance problems. Yeah.
And here's the thing: as I was looking around on YouTube, like I was like, all right, has anybody actually like done a comparison? And somebody actually did a PS5 versus PC comparison, and their PC was obviously lower spec. And every time they showed the PC version, it was sub 60 FPS versus the PS5 version, which seemed to be 60, but I don't know how stable it is. And it makes me wonder, like, is the PC version of this just that bad? Is it that not performant? Because while obviously having this game on consoles is important, I feel like the sim racing and like the serious rally crowd is probably going to be on PC, right?
Yeah.
That's where the custom wheels are. That's where all this like this stuff is like really serious. So I don't know. It's a weird one.
Well, Dirt Rally 2 used to be in our GPU benchmark suite, and it just flew, right? And it looked awesome.
Yeah,
So,
their engine was so fast. The Ego engine produces
yeah.
great results. It's really fast. It supports ray tracing features as well. I don't think that Dirt Rally had it, but F1 does, right?
F1
Dirt
has a
Rally 2
bunch.
actually had Dirt Rally 2 actually had MSAA as well to add further. Yeah, it was quite the thing. It was a really impressive game. So yeah, I was kind of hoping to be wowed out of the gate, but obviously I went in with these warnings from the community that something isn't quite right with it. And there is no shader pre-compilation step at the beginning of the game, that's for sure. It only seems to, it's really difficult to tell what is actually causing problems at any given point, because you can have gameplay running at 56 to 58 frames per second, continual dropped frames, and then you restart the stage and it's kind of 60 flat the way it should have been before. There's just real issues here that based on this initial really early first look. But yeah, I guess there's overall more sort of troubling issues that we've gone from a bespoke engine which really did the job, and we've gone to Unreal, and it doesn't seem to be that great.
So there's also the thing about VR support. So apparently the PC version is getting VR support, as you'd expect, but PS5 / PSVR 2 does not seem to be getting support for VR, which feels a little bit strange to me, because there was even a dedicated VR version of Dirt Rally for PS4, right? For PSVR 1. And Unreal Engine, if there's one thing it does offer, is that its VR support is very well integrated. And obviously, if they're doing it on PC, I'm just surprised that it's not going to be on offer for PSVR owners who are kind of starved for content already, right? So this would have been a perfect opportunity for the benefits, I guess. But no, it doesn't seem to be there.
I mean, I've literally just dropped this video on you, Oliver, but do you have any thoughts?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I love the old Codemasters engine, the Ego engine. I thought Grid Legends last year looked terrific on it.
Oh,
The
yeah,
new,
it does.
the new
That's
F1
right.
games look awesome with all their like 5 or 6 ray tracing features. I lose track.
Grid was 120 FPS too, right?
Grid was 120 on the consoles, or could go. There was 120 mode on the consoles.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and in terms of like documented issues with Unreal, like obviously shader comp and traversal issues. I don't think this has traversal issues, thankfully, but those just seem like big problems for a racing game in particular. So it doesn't seem like a great fit. And also, this is only on current gen consoles and PCs. There's not like the general excuse of,
Right.
yeah, we're on Unreal 4 because, hey, we can make great easy ports to all these platforms. They're only targeting high-end platforms, relatively speaking. So Unreal 4 does seem like a strange choice in that context.
Yeah, well, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of it runs great on my PC posts, but it didn't on mine, and I think that's just part of the discussion here, really. But I guess that's really all we've got to say about that at the moment, except to say that we are sort of beleaguered with new game releases. They're just stacking up, but we will try and get to this one in due course. We'll have a look at the consoles. Maybe we'll revisit the PC. Hopefully there'll be some changes made there. And I guess we'll just have to leave it at that.
Hold up there, John, from the past. After you recorded this, some additional info appeared on the internet via various interviews, and we actually do now have the reason for the engine switch. And apparently it's due to course length. They wanted to implement these 30 kilometer plus tracks and the Ego engine was seemingly not up to the task, and so they made the jump to Unreal. As for how that impacts the experience, though, this is a tricky one to discuss because I guess for the hardcore rally enthusiasts, perhaps this is something that they've really been looking for. I do enjoy these games, but I'm not that hardcore to the point where I would actually want to drive a race that long. The only like long-term race I'm into is, Ridge Racer 5's 99 lap race, I guess. But yeah, so to get there though, I feel like they sacrificed perhaps a bit too much. I don't think the visual quality is quite on par with what they did with Dirt Rally 2. There's a lot of technical performance issues as we're seeing. The PC version's in a bad state. It just doesn't seem to have launched in a very good state. So it's hard to say whether it was worth the jump or not. But of course, any sort of engine switch is a gigantic undertaking. So I can understand why it's perhaps not as polished as the product they worked with for so long on Ego. But at the same time, it feels like maybe it shouldn't have been released in this state just yet, because there is this risk of damaging what's basically a new brand now, since this was the Dirt Rally games, and now that it's the EA Sports WRC games that they have with the WRC license. So in that sense, it doesn't seem like it's a great first shot for them, but I hope that they can actually sort of recover from this and produce something better the next time around. Perhaps even integrating. They did say in the interview that they have no plans for Lumen and Nanite, and we did confirm that this version of the game, it is still Unreal Engine 4. It's 4.27, but I would hope that they would make that transition, take it a step further, and actually implement those features, because things like pop-in are really bad right now in this version. Which is something that Nanite could help with when implemented properly. And the lighting itself isn't, it's fine, but it's not exactly a leap that we would have hoped for. So I don't know. We'll see.